June 5, 1944. The air crackled with coded Morse signals. For the German Abwehr, the elaborate network of spies, known as Operation Sleeper Wolf, was a masterpiece of infiltration. 23 deeply embedded agents, posing as French resistance fighters, railway workers, farmhands, and even 2 low-level officials in the French provisional government, were in place across Britain and liberated France. Their mission: to sabotage the Allied supply lines, report on troop movements, and assassinate key officers in the chaotic aftermath of the D-Day invasion, which German high command knew was imminent. The linchpin of this network was a man known only by his code name, Nightingale. To the French resistance cell in the Codenamed Peninsula, he was Pierre Dubois, a quiet, efficient radio operator from Calais who had lost his family to a German bombing raid. He was respected, trusted, and invaluable for his flawless Morse code skills and his seemingly intuitive knowledge of avoiding German patrols. In reality, Pierre Dubois was Oberleutnant Klaus Ritter, a former linguistics professor from Heidelberg recruited by the Abwehr for his perfect, accentless French and icy nerve. His farmhouse transmitter was the heartbeat of Sleeper Wolf, the channel through which all 23 agents would receive their final, catastrophic activation orders once the invasion began. Part 1. The Verlaine verse, a fatal signal. At 23:20, Ritter received an encrypted signal from Abwehr HQ in Berlin. It was the long-awaited confirmation. The invasion was expected at dawn. He was to broadcast the final activation sequence to all sleepers. The signal was to be disguised within the first line of Paul Verlaine's melancholic poem Chanson d'un Autumn Song, a prearranged code the resistance also used, providing perfect camouflage. Ritter began to tap the key. Les sanglots longs des violons de l'automne. The long sobs of the violins of autumn. 100 miles away, in a cramped listening post in Portsmouth, England, a young, bespectacled Belgian linguist and signals intelligence officer named Lieutenant Armand Visser was monitoring the frequency. Visser, whose hometown had been destroyed in 1940, had an ear so sensitive he could distinguish the fist, the rhythmic tapping style, of individual radio operators. He knew the patterns of every known German and resistance operator in the sector. As Nightingale's signal came through, Visser froze. The message was the correct Verlaine verse. The code was a known resistance alert, but the rhythm was wrong. Audience question 1. The weight of a rhythm. Lieutenant Visser is listening to a message in a chaotic ether of hundreds of signals. The verse is correct. The frequency is a known friendly one. But something in the timing, a microsecond's hesitation between sanglots and longs, feels mechanically precise, not human. It feels German. Do you risk alerting your superiors based on a feeling about rhythm? Or do you assume it's a nervous resistance operator and log it as confirmed friendly? What's your call? Comment below. Visser made his call. He sprinted to his commander's office. Sir, he said, breathless, that's not a Frenchman tapping. It's a German mimicking a Frenchman. The spacing is textbook Abwehr training school. It's a wolf in Nightingale's feathers. Part 2. The trap is sprung. Acting on Visser's hunch, Allied counterintelligence, the XX Committee, made a daring decision. They would not jam the signal. Instead, they would feed the wolf. They allowed the activation orders for Sleeper Wolf to go out, but from a separate, controlled transmitter they quickly established, mimicking Nightingale's fist perfectly. To the sleepers, their controller was still active. Meanwhile, a covert SAS team was dispatched to the farmhouse in Normandy. They captured Ritter just as he was preparing to destroy his codebooks. Under persuasive interrogation, he broke. The goal was not to arrest the sleepers immediately, but to use Ritter's knowledge to control the entire network. For the next 48 critical hours of the D-Day landings, Allied intelligence played a massive, double-edged game. They used Ritter's codes and authority to send the 23 agents a stream of credible but useless orders. Stand by. Observe only. Avoid all contact. This neutralized them during the invasion's most vulnerable phase. Audience question 2. The morale calculus. Knowing the locations and identities of 23 enemy saboteurs, but leaving them free to act if they grow suspicious is an immense risk. Do you think the Allies were right to play this slow game to potentially catch bigger fish, or should they have rounded up all 23 agents immediately upon capturing Ritter? Weigh the gamble in the comments. Part 3. The net closes. 23 names in 23 hours. The breakthrough came from Ritter's psyche, not his codebooks. Ex-Haustet, he muttered a phrase in German, wie im Übungsdorf bei Berlin, just like in a training village near Berlin. His interrogators seized on this. The Abwehr had built a mock French village, Bourgicall, outside Berlin to train sleeper wolf agents. Ritter had been the radio instructor. Allied bombers had recently photographed new constructions near Berlin. Aerial reconnaissance analysts cross-referenced the photos with Ritter's vague descriptions. They found Bourgicall. In a daring raid, a joint SOE/OSS team hit the facility not for destruction, but for records. They found the master file, 23 cover names, their real German identities, and, critically, their individual recognition signals and post-invasion mission statements. With this Rosetta Stone in hand, the roundup began on June 8, 1944. It was methodical and silent. In a London pub, a Free French naval officer ordering a drink with a specific gesture was met by 2 MI5 agents. At a railway yard in Bristol, a Polish refugee worker who always whistled a particular tune was arrested without a sound. In a Portsmouth supply depot, a clerk who was seen burying a small item near a specific fence post was taken during his night shift. One by one, across England and the now-secured beachhead in France, all 23 agents were captured. Their missions, to blow up fuel dumps, poison water supplies, and kill General Eisenhower's logistics commanders, were foiled. Epilogue: The Echo of a Tap. The Verlin incident remains one of the most stunning counterintelligence successes of World War II. It protected the vital supply lines during the fragile Normandy buildup and is credited with saving thousands of Allied lives. Lieutenant Armand Visser received the Distinguished Service Order. He later said, "I did not hear a code. I heard a soul, and his soul was German." Oberleutnant Klaus Ritter was tried in secret and spent the rest of the war in a POW camp, his linguistic talents used by the Allies to decode other German communications. The 23 sleepers vanished into the prison system, their existence erased from public records until decades later. Operation Sleeper Wolf was so thoroughly dismantled that even German high command never knew how completely it had been compromised. They blamed its failure on bad luck and Allied jamming. Final discussion: the human element versus technology. In 1944, the flaw was a rhythmic tap, a subconscious slip in muscle memory. Today, with AI-generated voices and deepfake videos, could such a subtle, human mistake still unravel a vast spy network? Or has technology made the perfect legend finally achievable? Share your analysis.